to the dugout. Mike Piazza takes that bat out, goes to the mound, and sticks it into Roger Clemens' chest.
Yeah.
They both get ejected. Yankees have no pitcher, and they're both going to get suspended. What team is going to be more adversely affected? You lose your ace or your catcher? Benny Agbayani could have caught that fucking game. They would have won. Benny Agbayani. He's fucking Hawaiian, honey, huh? Peel the grape.
And the Sid Fernandez Hawaiian tradition of being a Met. Benny Agbayani. And here's a great story from that World Series that hardly anybody knows. Why the hell would they know this?
That's why we need more stories, some inside stories.
From
Richie.
that World Series. I'm sitting, covering it for SportsCenter. I'm sitting down the left field line, which is right in the corner, right near the left field foul pole.
You said you were in Connecticut.
This was 2001 now.
Oh, sorry.
I've now since graduated to being able to actually go to these events.
Now you're one of the big guys.
Yes, now I'm not.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So
and we could touch on later that weird hierarchy of anchors. Like there's the guys on ESPN Express.
Let us hit all of them.
ESPN News. And then you just get like, hey, Stan Everett couldn't be here, so this guy,
I was one of the last people hired at ESPN who went straight to SportsCenter. It was before ESPN News. I think the last one might have been Mike Greenberg, who was hired and went straight to SportsCenter. He might have been
Greenberg,
at the
Italian
outset
guy?
of. Say it again.
Greenberg, Italian guy?
Yeah, he's Italian. Yeah.
So tell the story about the 2000
So anyway,
series.
so I'm sitting
Subway
there.
series.
I'm sitting there. I'm sitting next to Peter Gammons and Carl Ravitch.
Old Hickory.
Old Hickory. Well, he does get $20 bills sent to him in the mail and asked to have it autographed. I've seen it. I've seen him walking with his fan mail in the ESPN newsroom.
Is he
opens
happy
it up,
about it?
$20 bills. God bless him. He signs them and sends them
All right,
back.
so he's not a red ass.
He is not.
That makes me like him.
Well, I mean, but he gets serious about baseball.
Yeah.
Obviously. And so I'm sitting next to him, and there's a guy who's about 5 rows in front of us who looks incredibly familiar to me, a tall man with gray hair. And he gets up and he starts walking towards home plate with a younger woman, and I'm thinking to myself, I know who that is. It turned out to be the actor James Noble, who was the governor from Benson.
Oh, my God.
Okay. And to me, for some reason, in the middle of the Subway Series, my dream scenario, and here I am covering it for ESPN, this is like, a dream freaking come true.
Yeah.
I turned to Peter, I had to share it with somebody. I'm like, Peter Gammons, I'm like, have you ever seen Benson? Total blank look. And he's like wondering, why the hell are you bothering me during inning number 2?
He just looks at you and goes, Chris Benson is doing his best to get back in the rotation as quick as he can.
But, by the way, when Peter Gammons does that, the word but could be completely different. Chris Benson is pitching his best he can to get back in the rotation. But a left-handed hitter coming up out of the minor leagues has nothing to do with Chris Benson, but I'm talking about it now. It just can go in any possible direction. So anyway, I go and I follow the governor from Benson. And I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing this. I had to do it. And I walk up to him, finally catch up to him.
The World Series.
Left my post. Left my post.
Now batting number 2. Derek Jeter. Number 2.
Number 2.
And you're like, screw it.
Governor. Now batting the governor from Benson. Number 34. So I go follow him. And I finally catch up to him between home plate and third base. And I say to him, you are the actor who plays the governor from Benson, aren't you? Yes, I am. And sure enough, I swear to God, he's with the younger woman is his daughter, who she sees my press pass dangling from my neck and says to me, we are actually looking for Robert Guillaume. Can you help? And I'm like, wait a minute. I find the governor from Benson at Game 2 of the World Series, and you are not only the governor from Benson, but I'm finding you in the act of trying to find Benson himself. What are the odds? What are the freaking odds?
0.
So I said, can I help? How may I be of service to the governor? Of course. How may I help? She said her boyfriend is at home saying that Robert Guillaume is sitting behind home plate, and my dad has not seen him since Benson went off the air. It's been a decade, and he really wants to catch up.
Those two are close.
So I say, but she says, he can't get down there. Maybe you can help.
They are Nazis at Yankee Stadium.
Right? I mean, seriously.
Another reason. Fuck Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I know. They're very, very
Ticket,
serious.
please.
I
really?
know.
You got like a Puerto Rican Day parade field trip behind home plate. Somehow I can't sneak through to say hi to my friend.
I walk towards home plate, And, of course, they won't let him down, but they will let me down with my press pass. And as I'm walking down towards home plate, I'm beginning to think, how in the hell does Robert Guillaume have behind home plate seats to one of the top New York sporting events of all time?
Phantom of the Opera.
No.
Oh.
No. But I was thinking in my head because, like, he's not on a Fox show.
Right.
He was actually on Sports Night at the time on ABC.
I just thought maybe the Broadway juice.
No, it wasn't any Broadway juice. So as I'm strolling down, I'm thinking this.
And yes, by the way, Robert Guillaume he replaced Michael Crawford in Phantom of the Opera. How'd you like to be there that night?
Right.
The first night of Robert Guillaume. Like, why is the Phantom a black guy?
So I go down and I don't see him, and I typical New York moment. Just turn around and just ask fans, does anybody know who Robert Guillaume is? And some guy says, yeah, I know who he is. And I'm like, did you see him around here? And he goes, no, I haven't seen him, but Jesse Jackson's sitting right over there. And I'm like, no, sir, I'm looking for a fictional politician, you know?
Yeah, I thought maybe you wanted one black guy. I'd steer you to another black guy.
It's totally ridiculous. So
why are you breaking my balls? I get you another black guy right here, same price.
I then turn around and I'm like thinking to myself, well, maybe this is now a mistaken identity. And sure enough, right behind home plate is Frank Robinson, one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Yeah.
And I go back up and I say
MVP in both leagues.
And there's the governor looking at me like maybe this could be it. He's on bated breath waiting for the verdict of what I have found behind home plate. And I say to his daughter, I'm like, is it possible your boyfriend saw Frank Robinson and thought it was some... She gets on the cell phone and says, could that be Frank Robinson? Oh, you are an asshole, and hung up the phone on her.
You should have.
That was my World Series Game 2 story.
How old was the governor from Benson?
Had to be mid-70s.
So you could have, in theory, brought Frank Robinson to him and said, Robert, you guys haven't seen each other in so long. And the governor would have went, I'm so glad to see you.
Now, Frank Robinson does not have a sense of humor.
I heard he's a son of a bitch. I heard he's everything Willie Banks. He's everything Ernie Banks is not. Ernie Banks will get on an airplane and walk into coach, and whether you know him or not, shake your hand and say, hi, thanks for coming, like you're on his plane.
He is the greatest.
And I've heard Frank Robinson is the most truculent, the most...
He does not, and the times that because again, I was totally exposed, before I was exposed to the football world, I was totally exposed to the baseball world on ESPN because that was my beat. And baseball's my first love.
Well, high school basketball was your first beat.
Yeah, technically, yes.
For the Chicago Tribune when you were a stringer.
At ESPN.
And then you were Stringer Bell on the wire.
Right. Stringer Bell.
See, I pull that together.
May he rest in peace. So,
and then you were Ma Bell with the ill communication.
That's true.
All right.
So I was totally exposed to the baseball world. And Frank Robinson didn't give me much. Ernie Banks... When my current wife and I were just boyfriend and girlfriend, like we were hitting golf balls at the range at the Phoenician Hotel because both of us were covering spring training at the time in Arizona. And guess who comes strolling up? Ernie Banks.
And you know it's Ernie Banks.
My future wife, Ernie Banks.
But hold on. You know it's Ernie Banks, for those of you listening, because he has a hat on that says Ernie Banks, and he has a shirt on that says Ernie Banks, and he's handing out bumper stickers and coasters that say Mr. Cub Ernie Banks. Let's play two Ernie Banks.
God bless him.
He is a walking merch.
I love that I'm like, good for you, because if he would play today, he'd be set for life. Back in the 60s,
you know what?
He probably got
nothing. If he won a World Series with the Cubs, he wouldn't be handing out anything.
Come on.
What would you rather do?
Yeah.
Important question.
Yes.
I ask many people, but not enough people.
Yes.
Would you rather be an Ernie Banks, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest that have ever lived, never see the postseason, or Scott Brocious, journeyman, make your money, put in your 12 years, and then 1 October get hotter than shit, and you're the World Series MVP?
I'd rather be Ernie Banks.
You'd rather be a first ballot Hall of Famer,
Absolutely.
And every year go
Hall
home.
Of Famer.
I can go to the Hall of Fame right now.
Hall of Famer.
I can go to the Hall of Fame right now.
Jay Mohr, JJ, first ballot Hall of Famer.
I can go to the Hall of Fame.
That is forever.
There's no shame.
Forever. I know Brocious is forever, and Brocious, I love 125 and 50, one of the greatest teams of all time, the Yankees that year. I was there for that, too. I covered that World Series. And
but if you don't play to get the whole point of
first
playing
World Series ever covered.
Is to go and get the championship as a team. So to continually not show up even your entire career is a failure.
This sounds in a way, you've morphed a little bit the De Niro speech from The Untouchables about the difference between
individual achievement.
of a team.
It's more
Teamwork.
Pesci saying
Teamwork.
it to
Teamwork.
De Niro in Raging Bull. If you lose, you win.
Yes, if you win, you win.
If you
Even
lose,
if
you
you
still
win,
win.
I know.
Just make the weight, you
That's
fat
right.
fuck.
That's
You're like
right.
a fucking fat fuck.
Even if you lose, you still win. Exactly. Yeah.
Who would win in a fight, the Williams sisters or Steve Nash?
What sort of fight are we talking about?
Fist fight, just in a bar. Serena and Venus and Steve Nash just happen to be playing pool, and some shit
they're
breaks
against
out.
each other.
Boom. The Williams sisters versus Steve Nash, straight up, 2-on-1. Who wins in a
I
fist
take
fight?
the Williams sisters.
Really?
I would, yeah.
All
Even
right.
though Nash has escapability. Yeah, I'll take the Williams sisters.
Have you ever gotten high with Michael Irvin?
No.
Me neither.
No, that's good.
You followed U.S. Open. Oh, you covered U.S. Open tennis.
Yes, I did for 3 years.
What
It's
was
fantastic.
It really?
Awesome.
Why?
It is the most quintessential New York event. Period.
The
End
U.S.
of story.
Open at Arthur Ashe
Unbelievable.
Stadium.
I took the 7 train out a few times to get out there. It was incredible. Awesome. Loved
Which is
it.
weird that many
Loved
wealthy
it.
people are dropped in the middle of Queens.
Isn't that great? I love the U.S. Open.
What's the
tennis
hardest
Open. Unbelievable.
female tennis player name you had to pronounce that you now have committed to memory?
Sugiyami.
That's not hard.
That
If you could
wasn't
say
easy.
Shigetoshi Hasagawa,
Shigetoshi Hasegawa. There was
Hideki Matsui.
oh God.
Say that name again?
There was
Wait. What was the Japanese?
Sugiyami.
I
think that was one. Yeah, there was
Sugiyami.
another. There was another one.
Once you get
gosh.
into the Balkans, it's pretty
There was
tough.
Vera Zvonareva. Because that Zvon Zvonareva. Yeah, you could slur it. You could Harry carry it. Vera's wearing. Here's Vera.
He's wearing a sombrero.
Here's Vera Zvonareva. Yeah. See, here's another great story I was told about. I've never told this story. I'll tell it here right now.
Good. This is great.
Okay. When I first took the gig.
Which one?
The U.S. Open gig.
Okay. I forgot we were talking about that.
The U.S. Open gig. They told me that, when I was calling the matches, I had to be quiet during points. These were the few things they told me. Be quiet during points. Don't talk during points, which I thought was no-brainer. Another one, too, is that when I get a card to read for a live read, just like you did.
So you had to do live reads.
Well, yeah, because I not only did studio, I also did the tennis. I called
Gary
some matches.
Unmarried coming up.
Well, I never really had to do that. I would love. Well, my favorite ones of that was Pat Summerall. Murder. She wrote. He always pronounced the
Enemy.
Coming up tonight.
Third and long. Coming up tonight. Murder, She Wrote. Be
Murder, She
Enemy with
Wrote.
the carry. Stop by the line of scrimmage by Harry
The
Carson.
best was when he then went on Fox and is like, tonight, an all new House of Buggin'. That was my favorite Summerall. So this is a Pat Summerall story because he, for years, called U.S. Open tennis on CBS and had occasionally difficulty reading all the live reads specifically. And I'm like, what do you mean? That he would just, for the blimp shot, they would show the entirety of the skyline of New York City. And the blimp shot would be, that's the Goodyear blimp showing you downtown Manhattan, and blah, 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 blah. And all he would say is, Manhattan. That's it. They'd show down, and that's the blimp. He wouldn't say Goodyear. He wouldn't say the store. He wouldn't say the tagline.
And the gig is you got to say Goodyear. That's why the blimp's
say,
up.
of course. That's
if
what
it's
they're
the
paying
Fuji
for.
blimp, you got to say
they're
Fuji.
paying for it, and this was back in the
MetLife.
early '90s when they didn't have probably like the graphic at the bottom.
Now
of the
there's
screen.
competing blimps.
There are.
It used to just be the Goodyear blimp.
DirecTV is a blimp. Everybody get a blimp.
MetLife is the cool one with Snoopy on it. That's
Snoopy's
the one
on
you look up in the sky and you go, that's nice.
Yeah.
Snoopy's
Yeah,
up there
Snoopy.
and his Sopwith
Kids dig
camel.
it. Sure. So I did that one. So just for shits and giggles, when it was my first blimp shot, and they showed
Hatton?
They showed it, and I just went Manhattan. And just left it paused, and then the guy was giving me the spiel beforehand. He screams in my ear, says, "Read the fucking card!" He screamed in my ear. Wow. Yeah. So of course I did it, but it was great. I was so much fun. We did it was
your
me and
favorite
Patrick
tennis?
McEnroe. We did the late
He's a
night
great
show. He was
commentator.
great. He was my analyst. We did a lot of fun stuff.
What matches stick out to you from that time?
Roddick won his only U.S. Open title. It was one of his only Grand Slam titles.
He's an American.
Yes,
Andy Roddick. And
that was great.
Do you know where
He
he's
did
from?
that one year that we were there. He's from Nebraska.
Really?
It's from the heart of the country.
Not exactly a tennis powerhouse.
No. Well, I mean, they all leave wherever they're from and then go to
Manhattan
Nick
Beach or something,
Bollettieri
yeah.
or wherever. They go to Southern Florida. And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, probably bang Russian girls at age 14 and start
Hopefully.
playing tennis.
Oh, I hope at their 14, not the girls.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we don't do that.
No,
Rich
we
and
don't
I
condone
we're family
any
guys.
of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, no.
Now that's the explicit label right there, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
What was?
But
Did
it
you
was
ever?
great. I loved it.
Who's the blonde girl that never won?
Kornikova.
Did
I
you ever
interviewed
follow
her.
one of her matches?
I interviewed her. She came on. It was funny. She came on, and it was the only one-on-one interview we did not do from behind the desk. They put us in director's chairs in front of the desk so you could see her entirety. And she was in